Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, because they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentleman.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And finally they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive pardon, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, Jamie Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a
this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. Are you going to condemn that pardon?
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people. Commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Stably, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It's Memorial Day weekend coming. Well, I'm a little early, but so I thought I'd dig out my dad's Army hat that he got when he was he had a Korean War vets reunion or something a long time ago. My dad passed away in 2009, so he's been around for a long time. But when my mom passed away and we cleaned out the house, I found this hat. I'm like, really cool hat. Got a couple of pins and stuff, and it even fits. So there you go. Yes, a hat inside. So anyway, I'm just honoring my dad right now. My dad that I grew up with, not my father, who lived in Nigeria. But anyway, what is going on in this world, man? This young couple who's to be married, gunned down in cold blood in the Israeli embassy is kind of a crazy thing. And the reason, the title, can we call it? Because a lot of people say, you can't call it anti-Semitism. It's that's the genocide in Gaza and blah, blah, blah. And the word genocide being thrown around, not just about Gaza, but even in South Africa, which is, let's get something straight. Shit going on in South Africa is fucked up. It's not a genocide yet, but it's definitely looks like some ethnic cleansing, and there's some people who want genocide. There's people who cheer on the idea of genocide. And it's the same in Gaza. It's not genocide, but it's war that a certain faction seems to like having. In fact, we got an article on how they seem to be embracing the losses. Hamas is. And so, but this is different. When you got someone killing people on American soil, then you go, whoa, can we call that anti-Semitism? Because it's because of Jews, right? You murdered him. Only 50. No, I didn't say no big deal. Oh, no, I didn't say that. Ooh, that is a big deal. It's a big deal. Genocide maybe not be the right word. Ethnic cleansing, absolutely. South Africa seems to be heading the path of Zimbabwe, no matter what the president there says. But speaking of which, we got clips about that too. The president went savage on the president of South Africa yesterday. Actually, I don't think he did it necessarily for the president of South Africa, but he certainly did it for the reporters that came in there all smug and acting like there's nothing happening. You mean the stuff that they're not reporting. But anyway, we'll get into all that. I'm getting sidetracked already. Let's say hi to everybody and get the show started officially. First in the chat today, of course, is the Mr. Avocados Diabli. Gets the bell. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, the Pope, Tyrannius the Third. The Blessed Lich is here. Not that I know what a lich is. It's kind of disturbing. Somnambull Nation here. JB's in the house. Attack Alpaca. Renee Mayette, what's up? Happy FTG Thursday to you too. Resolute Germ, what's up? Nice to see you. Green Badger Outdoors. Desert Tramp. Blue-Eyed Scream. And Donkey Punch Bandit, the greatest name on the internet. So good morning, everybody. And as people slowly roll in, we'll just do some of the preliminary stuff that's not necessarily newsy, but it's news-ish. And then we'll get into some of the more news. I got quite a bit open today. We'll see how much we get through. I was going to do some more videos today, but I think I'm not going to get to it because I got just too much stuff I got to talk about. And some of it's controversial, and I want to hear your voices on some of this stuff. I want to hear what you think because I have my thoughts, and it's. I think there's a combination of things that can be happening. I know some people don't always agree with me on some of this stuff, but I do care to hear your opinions. So there we go. Let's start here though with the special day today. There's certainly multiple things that you could call a special day. In fact, I'll drop the holiday calendar at the end of the list of links today, but there's only one today that I actually compare about, and it's not National Vanilla Pudding Day, because it is National Vanilla Pudding Day. Oh God, it's Harvey Milk Day too, which because it's every day is some LGBTQ holiday. But anyway, today is Sherlock Holmes Day, right, Holmes? Sherlock Holmes, apparently it's also, I guess they coincided Sherlock Holmes Day with the first actor to play Sherlock Holmes, I guess. Happy birthday to brilliant British, the author, excuse me, not the actor, the author who wrote Sherlock Holmes. Happy birthday to the brilliant British author, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. As clever as his sleuth, no surprise. His birthday also always reminds me of the greatest actor to portray Sherlock Holmes, Jeremy Brett, who starred as Holmes on television in the 1980s and 90s. So May 22nd is Sherlock Holmes Day, coinciding with the birthday of the author. One of the enduring character sleuths in the world. Multiple books, multiple movies, multiple people playing Sherlock Holmes. And so there you go. Happy birthday to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and happy Sherlock Holmes Day. World Goth Day. Share your oh my gosh. I almost read that out loud. It's also World Goth Day, is it? Oh my goodness, it is. Okay, here's the holiday calendar. Harvey Milk Day, National Julie Day, if your name is Julie, whatever. International Day for Biological Diversity, because we have control over that. National Solitaire Day if you're lonely. World Goth Day, to which Somnambule Nation says, share your big titty goth girlfriend pics. Yeah, I'm not going to share. I don't have well, first of all, I don't have a girlfriend. I have a wife. Even better. Bitcoin Pizza Day. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that I was going to tell you about. It is Bitcoin Pizza Day. Why do I say Bitcoin Pizza Day? Well, today is the day, the anniversary, 15 years ago, the first time that Bitcoin was used to actually purchase something. 15 years ago today, on May 22nd, 2010, a Floridian programmer named Lazio Hanez made history by purchasing 2 Papa John pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins. A transaction that seemed insignificant at the time. Today, those pizzas would be worth $1.07 billion with a B dollars. This day has since been commemorated in the crypto community as Bitcoin Pizza Day, a reminder of how far digital assets have come and the value of long-term vision. As we celebrate this historic moment, we're reminded not only of Bitcoin's transformative journey, but also of the broader evolution across the crypto landscape. The growth of blockchain technology is no longer confined to Bitcoin alone. Ecosystems like Ethereum, Cardano, Binance, Sui, Solana, and notably Tron, have played a critical role in reshaping financial world. Okay, so anyway, and then they go into a couple other things. Yeah, worth is relative, I suppose. It's a way of exchanging value. I don't know if there's actual worth in Bitcoin or not, but if you have a bunch of Bitcoin, if you have 10,000 Bitcoin, you'd be doing pretty good right now. You could probably sell it and retire. But anyway. So yeah, the first real world transaction this day, 2010. And I wonder what the dude who took the Bitcoin did with them, though. Save your Bitcoin for illicit purchases. Geez, yeah, kind of like that, right? Good morning, Lord Stanhope. Good morning, Anna Lynn. Good morning. Who else just showed up? I saw another Abby. Which one? Oh, on the honorable mention list of my favorite Canadians. Special Can Acid. Welcome to the show. So anyway, yeah, happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Also, for some reason, Audie Murphy is trending. Now, do you know who... let me give you a second in the chat to tell me if you know who Audie Murphy is. Da 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 na 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 boom boom. So Audie Murphy is a war hero, a United States war hero from World War II, the most decorated soldier in World War II. This is Audie Murphy. A lot of people, the most highly decorated enlisted soldier in the U.S. history. In U.S. history, when Americans loved our country, he was also a wonderful actor in Hollywood. So yeah, a lot of people are answering that question correctly. It's not his birthday. His birthday is not until, his birthday was, I don't know what date his birthday was. He died June 20th, 1949? I don't know, something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that's why Audie Murphy is trending. And, I was like, do I really want to talk about this? Well, and a Western movie star too. And I was like, oh, that's some history. By the way, he only had, it's always been incredible. He only had a 5th grade education, lied to get enlisted because he was underage, and still became the most decorated soldier ever. What are the odds of that? So lots of people talking about Audie Murphy today. Fascinating stuff. All right. I see Willie is in the chat. Also, Amazing Disgrace is in the house, and Green Badger Outdoors. Good morning to all of yous. Next up, we got, let's get into the big news this morning. 2 Israeli embassy staff members identified as Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram were fatally shot outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. yesterday. The incident took place last night during an event hosted by the American Jewish Committee. The suspect, who has been detained, reportedly shouted "Free Palestine" during his arrest, pointing toward a possible motive linked to the Israeli-Palestine conflict. You think? Of course, this is a grok summary. Let's look at the, I want to look at the New York Post article on this, because that really doesn't tell you much. So it is, again, Israeli staffers fatally shot by a terrorist who yelled "Free, free Palestine" near the DC Capitol Jewish Museum. The victims were identified as they were friends and colleagues who fell in love and were just days away from getting engaged. Apparently, he was about to pop the question. Yaron Lashinsky, 28, and Sarah Milgram were fatally shot in the street as they left the American Jewish Committee Access Young Diplomats reception just after 9 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Yaron and Sarah are friends and colleagues. They were in the prime of their lives. The Embassy of Israel wrote on X. This evening, a terrorist shot and killed them as they exited an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. The entire embassy staff is heartbroken and devastated by their murder. No words can express the depth of our grief and horror at this devastating loss. Our hearts are with their families, and the embassy will be by their side during this terrible time. And Lashinsky was, I guess, preparing to propose to Milgram during a trip next week in Jerusalem, according to Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Yichel Leiter, before the identities were made public. So this is insane. Someone named Elias Rodriguez, reportedly a member of the Communist Front Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is just a name of the group, opened fire outside the Israeli embassy in D.C., killing Yaron and Sarah, a pair of staffers who were about to be engaged. The communist terrorist shouted "Free Palestine" as he was taken into custody. And unlike many, this is kind of editorialist from Daniel Greenfield and Front Page, but he says, unlike many Muslim terrorist attacks, it's important to note that this was a communist terror attack. Hello, Rick Ashberger, by the way. Photos appear to show Rodriguez at an Answer Coalition rally. Answer was the anti-war front group for the Party of Socialism and Liberation. PSL originated as a series of Trotskyist splinter groups that became more radical with every splintering. PSL in recent months has been loudly accusing Israel of genocide, but its larger mission is to radicalize members into a revolution against the United States. In short, it's a treasonous enemy organization that has been allowed to operate inside the United States. It's not the first time its members have been linked to violence, and the murders outside the Israeli embassy ought to lead to action against what is effectively a domestic terrorist organization that wields a great deal of influence on the far left through umbrella groups like Answer in the old communist style. Finally, the communist terrorist attack in support of Islamic terrorism shows that the red-green coalition between communists and Islamists continues to pose a threat. That's an opinion piece in Front Page Magazine. Breitbart, again, giving basically news details, giving you the details of this. And so this has a whole bunch of topics trending on X. If you're wondering why in my X posts there was some seemingly, I would say, concerning phrases. So let's start first with anti-Semitism, because, a lot of, when I, and the answer, if you want to complete the sentence in my thumbnail, because a lot of times you're not allowed to call things anti-Semitism, even when they probably are. And so I'm just curious, can we call this anti-Semitism, or is this anti-Israeli? I don't know. I would say that if you're out to attack Jewish people specifically, now granted it was outside the Israeli embassy, but still, this is not okay. This is not something we do in the United States. We just don't go out and start killing people. But apparently, it's becoming a disturbing trend that people could just go assassinate people. Now, granted, there's a lot of other violence in the United States that have nothing to do with, necessarily political fervor. But do you think this may be the result of some of the rhetoric that's been going around? So anyway, someone here says, as someone's reading these articles, people are commenting on them. So this is an article from NBC News breaking: 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy are fatally shot in Washington, D.C. Officials say suspects shot at Free Palestine during the arrest, sources say. And someone here says, when Joe, probably meaning Joe Biden, failed to nip this in the bud starting on 10/8/23, we knew this would happen. When universities allowed anti-Semitism to spread like wildfire, we knew this would happen. When the left cheered and celebrated criminals who took over public buildings, we knew this was happen. Definitely, and it's yes, Blue-Eyed Scream, it's definitely a terror attack. But when you say, from the river to the sea, or globalize the Intifada, I mean, it's not just about Israel anymore. It's about removing all Jews. It's about ethnic cleansing. It's funny because they complain that this war that they started October 7th, what was it, 23? October 7, 23, when they started that war, and now they're mad because Israel's executing the war and trying to weed out Hamas, that, it's a disproportionate response. But is it, and you're saying, you're trying to commit genocide against Palestinians. But Palestinians aren't a ethnic group. Palestinians didn't exist in that land except for when they moved from other parts of the region during the Ottoman Empire. They're not indigenous to the area. And if anyone has more historical claim to the area, it's probably the Jews, right? It's probably the Jews have the, if you go back, the only time that land was actually, considered a political entity were when it was Judea, when it was the Kingdom of Israel, and Israel. Otherwise, it's been occupied land by the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire before that, the British Empire after that, and when it was part of the British Empire during the 20th century, a lot of Jews came in and moved in and bought a lot of the land back. So it's not like they weren't there, but there's always been Jews there since the Roman Empire. Where do you think that came from in the Bible? So anyway, so the idea that this is Palestinian land, the only reason they even call it Palestine is because that's the European name for the area, because that's what the Romans changed the name to. They were trying to remove any traces of the fact that it was Judea prior to them calling it Syria Palestinia. Okay, so there's no such thing as a Palestinian. They didn't start calling them. In fact, the people who moved to that region from other areas, because a lot of the names, if you look at the etymology of some of the names in that region that are of Arab or the Muslim names, whatever, a lot of them are from Morocco, where Jordan is, where Syria is. They're from other places in the region. So, so the idea that there is this entity called Palestine that they're indigenous to the region, they're not. But you know what? It also doesn't mean that they can't live there. But the fact that they refuse to share that land, every agreement they've tried to make a two-state solution, is rejected by the Arab Palestinians, who didn't even start calling themselves Palestinians until the mid-60s. There was no such thing as... Now, granted, when the British occupied the area, which the Romans named Palestine, Syria Palestinia, if you had a passport from that region, it was called a British Palestinian passport. Doesn't mean that Palestinian's not a name that came from Arabic. It came from Latin, the Roman, or whatever language the Romans were speaking, because that's what the Romans named it, not the people who live in the region. So it's one of those things where they try to rewrite history, and it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, Banks, what up, Banks? How you doing? Robert Banks is in the house. So anyway, the word anti-Semitism is trending because of this. Someone named Ben Biadejo. This is the consequence of vicious, never-ending blood libels against Israel, dead Jews on American soil. Anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism, they say. Nonsense. It is all Jew hatred, and it gets Jews killed all over the world. So anyway, that's trending. Then we also get things like Free Palestine trending, mainly because that's what the guy was shouting when he killed these people. They murdered the murder of a couple at the Jewish Museum, yelling "Free, free Palestine" when he's arrested. So is this the actual arrest? Let's see here.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Now, I'll get to the other part of this. Is this apparently this guy went to the University of Illinois, and let's see here. There was somebody, some professor at the University of Illinois who kind of preached anti-Israeli stuff too, that apparently he's associated with. As you look through some of this Free Palestine topic on X. Oh, actually, I didn't have that on the screen, did I? Sorry about that. So some of the things people say. So Amy Mack, Free Palestine equals kill the Jews. Screw you, Muriel Bowser, for calling this a shooting. This wasn't a shooting. It was an execution. This was terrorism. And these fools are still investigating. They're investigating whether it was terrorism. While the terrorists scream "Free Palestine." What a pathetic, sick joke. The Jew-hating terrorists slaughtered Jews. Just say it. Stop whitewashing terror. Stop protecting the killers. Let's see. Here's something about this guy, Elias Rodriguez. 2 years ago, I as an individual cannot stop this violence to the people of Palestine, but I can at least help the little boy who made a difference to me. I urge others to help as much as possible. No child should experience such horrible things. Free Palestine. I'm not sure what he's referring to there. But Elias Rodriguez from the Party for Socialism and Liberation argued that the murder of Lakewood McDonald and the Chicago bid for an Amazon headquarters are not two separate issues, but but rather they were both connected. So this guy likes him some murderous violence. So, by the way, Elias Rodriguez from Chicago is the murderer. And of course, he was arrested. As he was arrested, he shouted "Free Palestine." This is how a terrorist was filmed moments after he murdered the Israeli embassy employees. Palestinian is a death cult. The entire purpose of Free Palestine is the elimination of Israel, the Jewish state, and not stopping the war in Gaza. You know what? Anyone else? I know there's a couple people who may disagree with that in my chat. But that's what it is. It's about the, and look, my connections to Israel are zero, other than one of my best friends from high school has relatives who live there. But I still say that that's what the whole Free Palestine movement is. That's what here, let me, and you can scroll through this and read it yourself. In fact, Lee Zeldin met this Sarah 2 weeks ago. I met Sarah 2 weeks ago in my office at EPA headquarters. She struck me as a young woman filled with life and positivity. Heartbroken to learn that she was one of the two tragically murdered last night by a Jew-hating radical screaming "Free Palestine." May Sarah and Yaron rest in peace. Here's, let's see, Only London. 48 hours ago, the media, including NBC, spread a false story using a now retracted statement claiming 14,000 Gazan kids could die in 48 hours. 48 hours later, 2 Israelis are gunned down by a Free Palestine activist in D.C. after the media blood libel riled up hate against Israel. Yeah, that's the par for the course. Hello, BV. What's up? BV Luminous in the house. Nice to see you. So, chaotic scene in D.C. Let's see. Given the tragic news of an Israeli diplomat being killed near the Capitol Jewish Museum after a shooting suspect killed Free Palestine, it's important to point out that Ilhan Omar refused to condemn the Hamas flag at anti-Trump protests in D.C. Well, significant in a way. She'll stick her head in the sand with things like that. Other things trending because of this, globalize the Intifada. Now, I know this may confuse some. But this is, Clay Travis, this is what globalize the Intifada looks like in America, you dumbass college kids. Because a lot of dumbass college kids are unfamiliar with this term. So let's go look up Intifada. Intifada. And actually, I spelled it wrong. There we go. So let's talk about when they say globalize the Intifada, which is a phrase that you might hear from Palestinians. So, and I'm just going to do Wikipedia. I know it won't be perfect, but Intifada is an Arabic word for a rebellion or uprising or a resistance movement. Now, granted, this is Wikipedia. So I'm going to guess that it's going to be slanted in a way that may not be what it really means, which for the Hamas resistance, that means kill the Jews and get rid of them. But I'm just saying that's what it means to them. But let's see. In the 20th century, the word Intifada has been used to describe various uprisings. The Iraqi Intifada in 1952, nobody's using it for that. Iraqi parties took to the streets to protest their monarchy. Later examples include Western Sahara Zemla Intifada, the first Sahrawi Intifada, the second Sahrawi Intifada. In the Israeli-Palestinian conflict context, it refers to uprising by Palestinian people, uprising against Israeli occupation or Israel, involving both violent and non-violent methods of resistance. Oh, so diplomatic here, including the first Intifada, 1987 to 1993, and the second Intifada, 2000 to 2005. Let's talk about the Palestinian context, though. In the Palestinian context, the word refers to attempts to quote, shake off the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip in the first and second Intifada, where it was originally chosen to connote aggressive, non-violent resistance. Oh, really? You mean like bus bombings and missile attacks? As a meaning it bore among Palestinian students in struggles in the 1980s, in which they adopted a less confrontational than terms that an earlier militant rhetoric since it bore no nuance of violence. The First Intifada was characterized by protests, general strikes, economic boycotts, and riots, including the widespread throwing of stones and Molotov cocktails at the Israeli army and its infrastructure in the West Bank and Gaza. The Second Intifada was characterized by a period of heightened violence. Suicide bombings carried out by Palestinian assailants became one of the more prominent features, and the Second Intifada and mainly targeted Israeli civilians, contrasting with the relatively less violent nature of the First Intifada. So, in other words, kill as many of them as you can. And that's the most recent iteration of globalize the Intifada. And that's trending right now because on these college campuses, that's one of the phrases that they keep using because some of these numbskull shitbag college kids don't know any better. Hello, Lewis. What's up? Nice to have you. And Blue-Eyed Scream. I don't know if I already said that or not, but what up? Nice to have you here. So now you've got, globalize the Intifada. People are talking about this phrase, and so that's what the various people on X are talking about. So AG Hamilton's on the right. We warned you that this is where it was headed. It was the entire purpose of all the blood libels, lies, pro-terror justifications over the last 18 months. Those of us who saw the Intifada firsthand warned you what globalize the Intifada meant. We warned you that this wasn't about what was happening in Israel or Gaza, but about what is happening here. We warned you that the far left was out of control and would keep escalating. And, the fact that they're becoming more comfortable with, assassination type events is pretty strange. You look at the that dumbass who shot the guy from not Health Partners. What was the Luigi, what's his face, Mangione, who shot the CEO. It seems like we're going to see more of that type of terror activity. Maybe, and it's granted, these are two incidents, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just, these two isolated incidents. But what's wild is people seem to be justifying. Yes, United Health. Thank you. But anyway, so this I'm going to continue this one. We warned you that this wasn't about what's happening in Israel, Gaza, but about what was happening here. We warned you that the far left is out of control and would keep escalating. You downplayed it, you ignored it, you justified it. Now here we are, and a young couple has just been murdered based exclusively on who the far left Free Palestine shooter thought they were. They won't be the last if we don't decide as a society to stand against this. This isn't just about Jews. These are the same people who cheered on an open assassination of a healthcare executive because of his job. They are the same people that hate Western civilization and will absolutely cheer on the murder of you and your family if you belong to the wrong class, group, profession, race, political party, etc. Wake up, and I would add, wake the fuck up. Pradeep Shankar, from the river to the sea, means genocide of Jews in Israel. We don't want two states. We want 40. What? We want 40. What? We don't want two states. We want 48 is the end of Israel. Words mean things. Let's see. What happened was not only inevitable, but it's what globalize the Intifada means. Own it. Because Cenk Uygur 10 hours ago said, you can't do more harm to the Palestinian cause than by killing Israeli embassy staffers. Obviously immoral. It makes a whole community feel unsafe. It's also deeply counterproductive because it allows people to frame the whole peace movement as violent, deeply stupid. That's Cenk Uygur kind of saying, well, oh my gosh, what about the blowback on us? 1948. I know what you meant. 48 is when there was Israel, right? I know, I knew that. It took me a minute, but then I realized it. Again, the Intifada has just started in America. It is not only about Jews and Israel. Those calling for globalizing the Intifada while waving the Palestinian flag are terrorist sympathizers who hate America. They got a picture of him at a protest too. There's that little shitbag right there. Again, dear American people, this is what slogans like globalize the Intifada and free Palestine can lead to terrorism. We face the same rhetoric in the Netherlands as we were on our way to give our speeches. A pro-Hamas crowd shouted free Palestine, and I responded clearly, free Palestine from Hamas. Aha! Yes! That's every time I hear the words free Palestine, that's the first thing I think of. Yeah, free them from Hamas. Because Israel left Gaza in 2006. And there's been international aid constantly to Gaza, to the West Bank. And what did they do with it? Well, they built tunnels and bought missiles and started things they could kill people with. Interesting. Hello, H.P. Lovecraft. What's up? H.P. Lovecraft, right now I'm extremely disappointed that the people that called everyone Nazis for the last 40 years plus maybe are the actual Nazis. Well, that's spot on. So true. So anyway, this waste of oxygen was yelling free Palestine. So most people who are talking about globalized Intifada are the people who have recognized that what that actually means. Now, someone here said, no. New York City Mayor. What did he say? Mayor Eric Adams said, I'm devastated by the senseless killing outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. We're keeping the victims in our prayers and have directed the New York Police Department to increase security at sensitive locations for the Jewish community here in New York City, which is significant. To which someone replies to Mayor Adams, no. You said a few days ago, free Palestine and globalize the Intifada is free speech. Well, okay, he's not wrong, but at least we need to know what it means. No one wants your prayers or anything from you. You are an enabler. You're trying to arrest Jews who stood up to the Hamas mob in Crown Heights. I'm not surprised by the shooting. They have literally been calling to globalize the Intifada and free Palestine, which means murdering Jews. Each and every politician who has allowed the Hamas-loving mob to roam the streets of New York City for the last 19 months, calling for the murder of Jews, are responsible for and enabled this. Hide and shame, you did this, enough. It's that fine line between free speech and calling for violence. To me, globalize the Intifada is calling for violence. Free Palestine, free Palestine from their own choices of having Hamas as their leadership. All right, so anyway, other things trending because of this. American Jews are trending. Again, free Palestine is a rallying cry to murder Jews. It's not location specific. They could be French Jews, American Jews, Canadian Jews, Irish Jews, Israeli Jews. The kafaya, death rag, is how these genocidal monsters find each other. You can't convince me otherwise. So that's a person talking about that. Again, it's now this is interesting. What is this? American Jews need to get armed and trained and ready to shoot back. See, do we need a war on American soil? Yeah, FTG, Eric Adams, definitely. For 593 days, American Jews watched and lived amidst a swelling of chants and protests with slogans calling for the Intifada and more. Words have power. They can inspire emotion and action. As a result, today we are waking up more shaken, but still proud Jews. That's someone posting on that. So it's, the fact that it's starting to touch American Jews and probably Jews all over the world. I mean, it's not just happening here. Also, 2 Jews is trending. It's funny, because if when certain people use that phrase, you think, oh my gosh, am I going to take offense? But, if you talk to Jewish people, they will say, Jew. They will say Jews. So it's, that's a strange phrase to me. Hello, select a boy.
Yeah, boy.
So anyway, the 14,000 babies that they claim would be dying within 48 hours, which didn't even make sense. Someone says here, did not and will not die today. 2 Jews did. They were murdered because of that lie. Blood libel have real-world consequences. And those that spew them must be held accountable for these tragic and actual deaths. So lots of people memorializing these 2 young people. I'm still trying to find the person or people who Yeah, right. Jew is not the N-word. Jewish is not the N-word. Definitely not. I haven't found a whole lot of people posting about this that are supportive of it, but I have seen some stupidity surrounding it, which I'll get to in a minute. So anyway, 2 Jews is trending. Also false. The stupidity. Let's come to the stupidity. The word false flag is trending. The word's false flag. Now, granted, a lot of it's because there's people ridiculing the people suggesting it, since there were 2 dead people in the street. But guess who's probably the most prominent person who mentions the word false flag? I'll scroll down and find it. Here we go. None other than Mr. Dickhead himself. Go ahead and give him an FTG. Nick Fuentes. This asshole. False flag right on schedule. There goes free speech and diplomacy. Oh, and he's getting dragged. Oh, fuck off. False flag my ass. The anti-Israel, pro-Palestine activists bring violence and destruction everywhere they go. Islamic extremism coming from Americans thanks to influencers like you and social media propaganda. Well, more like the dickheads on college campuses. I wish I could find the... there was a specific post here showing the shooter being in the class of some professor at the University of Illinois who was a free Palestine advocate. Unfortunately, I can't find it. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has popped up and said something about this. She says, absolutely nothing justifies the murder of innocents. I am devastated by the killing of 2 people outside an AJC global event here in Washington. Our prayers are with the victims, families, and loved ones of all impacted. As we await more details, we must be clear that hatred has no home here. Anti-Semitism is a threat that we all hold dear as a society. Wait a minute. Can I listen to this sentence? Hello, Darren Root. And listen to this sentence again and see if this makes sense to you. Anti-Semitism is a threat. Oh, a threat to all. Never mind. I thought I read that wrong, I guess. Is he wrong about a new crackdown? No. Not necessarily. Although I don't, the crackdown on speech, I don't know. Anyway, listen to this. Okay, anti-Semitism is a threat to all we hold dear as a society. Okay, I did read that wrong. It must be confronted and rooted out everywhere. Although she is one of the Free Palestine, and I don't know if she's ever said the words globalize the Intifada, because that actually is calling for violence against Jews. But the Free Palestine, well, yeah, free them from Hamas. You free the Palestinian people from Hamas, and maybe, just maybe, their problems would go away. Now, unfortunately, we have people now who are saying, wipe Palestine off the map. It was never a country to begin with, just a place for radical Islamic terrorists to call home. 2 Israeli embassy staffers were killed, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, do we continue to try to have a two-state solution there? Is anyone in that region going to say to the so-called Palestinians, hey, stop killing Israelis every time they give you some air? The idea that this is an occupied territory, when they left the territories that the so-called Palestinians controlled and gave them autonomy, and then every time they do, they decide, well, we want all of it, when none of it was, necessarily theirs in the first place. I mean, it's just because, that's, again, that territory has only been an autonomous state 3 times in history. It's always been occupied. once the Romans took it away from the Jews. And prior to that, before that, there was also the kingdom of Israel and Judea. So, Judea, Samaria, whatever. So the idea that there was such a thing as a Palestinian, which didn't even become a term until 1966 because Arafat decided to start calling themselves Palestinians, the non-Jewish, occupiers of the land or whatever. There's no such thing as a Palestinian other than since 1965. But yeah, so now you're getting ready like that. You keep pushing, then you're going to get people to not give a fuck about you. Someone here, again, there is no Palestine and there's never been a Palestine, and to hell with everyone who justifies anti-Semitism and the murder of innocent people. Never make a mistake about this. This is precisely who the people of this Palestinian movement are and what they believe in. Lots of people using that. So again, let's see. Phrases that call for the eradication of Jews. Globalize the Intifada. Code words for the eradication of Jews. Free Palestine. Code word for the eradication of Israel and Jews. Pretty much. So, all right. We've talked enough about this, I think. Let's move on. Let's move on to the the big, beautiful bill that is going through Congress right now. And I agree with Thomas Massey. And does that make me an anti-Trump person? No. About this so-called big, beautiful bill that, for me personally, does not accomplish what I want the Trump administration to accomplish. What I want the Trump administration to accomplish is to have a deficit-free budget for the United States of America again. Okay, which has been extremely rare. I think the last time, other than 1 year during the Clinton presidency, hasn't happened since, I believe, 1928 or something like that. It was a long fucking time ago. And we've been piling up debt. Moody's U.S. credit rating dropped a tinch because we don't seem to be serious about not doing deficit spending. And so Thomas Massey, the first post on this big, beautiful bill trending topic, says this, and I'm going to play his. Let's see what the clip says first, and then if it matches what he says, I'm not going to read it myself. Here it is.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 90 seconds.
Well, I'd love to stand here and tell the American people, we can cut your taxes and we can increase spending and everything's going to be just fine. But I can't do that because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality.
Please do.
This bill dramatically increases deficits in the near term, but promises our government will be fiscally responsible 5 years from now. Where have we heard that before? How do you bind a future?
How about being fiscally responsible now?
This bill is a debt bomb ticking. Congress can do funny math, fantasy math, if it wants, but bond investors don't. And this week, they sent us a message.
Yes,
Moody's
they did.
Downgraded our credit rating, and the bond investors who buy our debt and finance our debt demanded higher interest rates on the 10-year note, the 20-year note, and the 30-year note. What does this mean? Very soon, the government will be paying $16,000 of interest alone per U.S. family. And what are we telling them? Instead of taking care of that problem, we're going to give you a $1,600 tax break. Under the taxing and spending levels in this bill, we're going to rack up, the authors say, $20 trillion of new debt over the next 10 years. I'm telling you, it's closer to $30 trillion.
Probably more than that.
10 years.
How about?
Mr. Speaker, we're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight. I oppose this bill.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Now, Thomas Massey is 100% correct. And I don't understand why our federal government can't say, look, we love doing all these things that we do, everything's special and whatnot, but we can't fucking afford it. How about every department in the United States government, every department, every branch, everybody cut their budget by 1% and fucking figure it out. If you have to get rid of some people, if you have to not spend 1% less on, cars for kids. I know that doesn't, that 1877 car for kids. Don't do that. No. Whatever you have to do. Pentagon, 1%. Judiciary, 1%. Health and Human Services, 1%. Whatever, every fucking agency in the United States government, drop your budget by 1%. And guess what? Let's do that every year for 5 years until we get below deficit spending, surplus spending. And then we don't pass any new bills to spend it more. We continue to lower the debt of the United States of America rather than raise the debt of the United States of America so that we can get this under control. Because the debt bomb that Thomas Massie is talking about isn't going to affect me. I'll be fucking dead. But my kids and my grandkids, I would like them to be able to live a nice life and not fuck everything up. Pay Social Security back. We'll do that too. Look, Social Security doesn't have to be paid back. They just got to stop spending the money out of it. Oh my God. Crash for Kids was a Jewish scam. Stop it. Stop it. But we know that money wasn't going to kids. So yeah, I applaud Thomas Massie, and unfortunately, even the president is taking a dump on Thomas Massie, which he should be saying, Thomas, you're right, Thomas, and maybe we should figure out some ways to do that. But no, he's mad because, because they called it the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful fucking debt bomb is what Thomas Massie calls it. Here's a handy guide to help those struggling with what Thomas Massie is trying to tell the world when he votes no. The big, beautiful bill is just another omnibus bill, which we are asking people to stop, Congress to stop fucking doing. And I predict 1 or 2 Democrats will cross the aisle to help it pass, just like last time. Yeah, because they're spending. Look, some of the spending that they, supposedly we're going to be cutting because of Doge and all this stuff, it's still in this fucking bill. Get rid of it. Yeah, this is the cycle since 1913. Shove everything into an omnibus. The bill is not perfect, but we have to pass it just this time. Oh, just this time. And then after that, you say just enough opposing party votes come in at the last second and Congress passes a huge new omnibus bill. Then Congress gives away all your tax money to their friends, prints more money through Federal Reserve and selling debt. You pay an invisible second tax through inflation. Oh, and then the government agencies are forced to spend all of their budget or lose it, which is a bullshit idea. Every fucking government agency should be encouraged to send some money back at the end of the year. How can you spend less, not spend every penny that we give you? How about showing us that you can be responsible and return some money to the fucking Treasury? Then the government agencies get a raise in a budget because they spent of all last year's budget. Well, we ran out of money, so we need more than we had last time. No, the only reason you spend all your money is because you're required to spend all of your money. How about an incentive to not spend it? I don't know what that would be. Then, oh no, we can't balance the budget through a single bills. We're out of time. Oh, we don't have enough time. Oh, we'll fix it next time. We promise. And then they start over again by shoving everything into an omnibus bill. This is getting its own fucking, what do you call it? This is getting its own link in the links today because that is so fucking true. And it's insane. In fact, I'm going to repost this 100%. Yeah, it's insane. Now, then we get the White House and Donald Trump, I wish Donald Trump could see Thomas Massey's vision. And my God, think of the hero. Now, not to Democrats, but think of the hero to the American people Donald Trump would be if we came in and had a balanced budget, because people are mad. Oh, we're gonna spend less money on Medicaid. We're gonna spend less. We're gonna give you tax cuts. Imagine though, if it was because we still had a balanced budget, would Donald Trump be hailed as the greatest president of all time, right behind George Washington and Lincoln? I mean, come on. So here, the one big and unfortunately, this fucking shit monster passed. So the White House tweets out, the one big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives. Oh, it hasn't passed the Senate yet. And although the Senate did pass no tax on tips, unanimous consent vote. The big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives. This is arguably the most significant piece of legislation that will ever be signed in the history of the country, said Donald Trump. No, it will not. It's just another omnibus bill, and they're extending the tax cuts, which, they're not cutting the tax more. It's funny because the Democrats are like, oh, if they're going to extend tax cuts for the rich. The tax cuts are just a continuation of the current tax bills instead of having it expire. Donald Trump. The one big, beautiful bill has passed the House of Representatives. This is arguably the most significant piece of legislation that will ever be signed in the history of a country. This bill includes massive tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you purchase an American-made vehicle, along with strong border security measures, pay raises for our ICE and Border Patrol agents, funding for the Golden Dome. What Golden Dome? Trump savings accounts for newborn babies. Oh my God, he's naming something after himself again. This is what I look. It's ridiculous, but it's funny as hell when he does that shit. And much more. Great job today by Speaker Mike Johnson, the House leadership, and thank you to every Republican who voted yes on this historic bill. Now it's time for our friends in the United States Senate to get to work and send this bill to my desk as soon as possible. There's no time to waste. The Democrats have lost control of themselves and are aimlessly wandering around, showing no confidence, grit, or determination. They have forgotten their landslide loss in the presidential election and are warped in the past, hoping someday to revive open borders for the world's criminals to be able to pour into our country and men to be able to play in women's sports and transgenders for everybody. He is fucking hilarious. They don't realize that these things and so many more like them will never happen again. He certainly knows how to frame things. I don't know. Look, Donald Trump's a marketing person. He's maybe the best salesman and marketer on the planet. When I see shit like this, and the way he labels stuff is funny because look, like, remember they used to complain about him calling people like Sleepy Joe and Crooked Hillary and all like that, except when he did that, what was the first thing you thought of whenever you said one of those people's names back then? Hillary Clinton. Oh, you mean Crooked Hillary? Joe Biden. Oh, you mean Sleepy Joe? I mean, it worked. But anyway, but no, it's not the most significant piece of legislation that you'll see in the history of the country. No, it will not. I think the Constitution probably was number one. Now, can you consider that legislation or just ratification of our, principles? But no, if they would have gotten to a balanced budget, if they had said, look, we're going to cut across the board 1%, everyone's got to cut your budget. Let's do some real austerity. And maybe our bond rating will go back up. Maybe we can find a way to drop interest rates. And then when people, you redo some of the debt that was coming due now, it'll come in at a lower rate to lower the outgoing debt service. But yeah, they passed the big beautiful bill. Fuck. Now, someone here said, if what I'm hearing is right, when the Tea Party began around 2007, 2008, the national debt was around 10 trillion. The big beautiful bill will add 20 trillion over 10 years on top of the 36 trillion we currently have. Why are conservatives happy about this? We're not! We're not! We're not happy about it. Hi, Tyler F. I'm not happy about this bill. Have they lowered spending at all? Maybe a tiny bit, but not enough. Now, Mr. McBride, Sarah McBride, the Congress thing from wherever Sarah McBride's from. What's Sarah McBride say? Says one big beautiful bill imposes a tax on working people. He's lying. The one big beautiful bill lowers taxes 15% for Americans making $30,000 to $80,000 and also ends taxes on tips and overtime. Yeah, it's not imposing a tax on working people. But if they continue this deficit spending and it causes more inflation, they have to print more fucking money, it will cause inflation, which, for all practical purposes, is just as bad as a tax. It's just like, these assholes were saying, and I'm talking about the left, the Democrats, talking about, tariffs, you got tariffs that's going to cost, business more, and people, the businesses don't pay taxes, the owners don't pay taxes, the people who buy shit pay taxes. So if you get tariffs, it's going to ride prices, and then everyone's going to have to pay more. They're the ones who pay the tariffs. These are the same assholes who say we should raise corporate taxes. The same people who say we should raise corporate taxes on American corporations. Well, hey, if tariffs from companies, we import goods from, if those tariffs are paid by the people who buy shit, aren't the corporate taxes that you put on all American corporations, aren't those paid by the people who buy shit too? Oh, because that's a business expense. So I don't want to listen to the Democrats about this either. Good morning, lunatic. But it's just like, come on. Why? Why are we not more serious about cutting spending? And I don't want you to raise taxes to balance the budget. I want you to cut spending to raise taxes. We spend money on stupid shit. And there's a lot of it. And look, they're talking about, I don't know if this is the bill where they were talking about bringing the military budget up to $1 trillion. But if we outspend the top other 5 militaries in the world combined, think we could get away with spending maybe $100 billion less rather than $150 billion more on our military? Do you think we could do that? I would think we could. Of course, we give so much shit to Ukraine over the last few years. Maybe not, because we got to replenish our shit now. But still, this is insane to me. And does this mean I regret my vote for Donald Trump? No, I don't. No, I don't. Because the Republicans are only the ones even considering lowering spending. And at least say they want to lower spending and support Doge and all this other shit. But I want them to actually do it. I want them to actually do it. Lower spending. I'd be happy if they froze spending for 10 years. Will they do it? Probably not. All right. So anyway, things trending because of the big, beautiful bill. The House, as in the House passed the big, beautiful bill. Oh, let's see. Last summer, my home was swatted while I was on a business trip. Officers swarmed my house with my pregnant wife and kids inside. I was the worst day of my life. Today, Governor DeSantis signed a new law to increase penalties for swatting. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Florida is now the harshest penalty in the nation for swatting. Perps will be charged with a felony for swatting offenses that lead to damage, injuries, or death. Courts will be required to make the perp pay restitution. Enhanced penalties for repeat offenders. Prosecution and investigation will be billed to the perpetrator, and full victim compensation. I am deeply grateful to the governor for taking real action to stop this dangerous, life-threatening crime. I know dozens of other Florida-based independent journalists who have been swatted and are breathing a sigh of relief thanks to his action. Thank you, Governor Ron DeSantis. This will save lives. Fuck yeah, Ron DeSantis. Go ahead, boy. Go ahead. All right, other things trending, because that has nothing to do with the big, beautiful bill, but House Republicans also trending. Oh, the Babylon Bee for the win. Republicans win Emmy for acting like government spending makes them sad. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Also, let's see. Oh, let's move on because I'm running out of time here. A couple other things that are popped up. The Atlantic. The Atlantic. You know, the Atlantic, the whatever that journalistic effort and newspaper or outlet or whatever that basically is Democrat mouthpiece. They have a new article out about Elon Musk. And I was just thinking, oh my goodness. Well, that must be something flattering because Elon Musk is kicking ass and taking names. Oh no. They have an article called, I wish I had a drum roll on here. The Decline and Fall of Elon Musk in the Atlantic. Now, I haven't read it. But it just sounds funny to me because usually the phrase is the rise and fall of something, but they say the decline and fall of Elon Musk by Michael Shearer. If you know who that is, you know, if you know, you know, and someone named Ashley Parker. It was possible 30 years ago to create a narrative that with headlines like this. It doesn't work now. Elon is going to be fine, isn't in any sort of decline, but the journalists at places like the Atlantic don't get that this doesn't work any longer. They're stuck in a time warp. True. And it's funny because the Atlantic was owned by, what's her name? She's one of the owners. Never listening to anything from the Atlantic again. Yesterday, the Atlantic put out an article claiming child trafficking was a fake epidemic. Here are photos of the owner of the Atlantic, Laureen Powell, getting cozy with Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, that's yeah, she's a clown. Anyway, I want to read this article later, but I just thought I'd bring it to your attention that they're trying to start a narrative, the decline and fall of Elon Musk. So that's fascinating. By the way, did I ever say thank you to the people sharing the show? I don't think I did. So let's do that now before I forget. Thank you. Somnamble Nation tweeted out the show before me as always. Also, whatever that is, Lovecraft, Thursday breakfast. Let's go. That's some serious calamari right there or something. Mike Savage with the let us go. JB dropping everybody knows you never go full Kamala. from the greatest portrayal of a black man in history from Robert Downey Jr. on Tropic Thunder. Is that Evel Knievel jumping this? Thank you, Green Badger Outdoors. I don't know, whoever's jumping those cars or buses or whatever. Resolute Germ, JB, and Simon Noble Nation retweeting the tweet of my tweet of the 12, whatever it is. And is this Avalanche? Who is this dude? Oh no, this is more recent. I don't know this guy either. I see, again, current wrestlers I'm not so great with. Thank you, Resolute Germ. And then let's see, Dark Horse Rising. And TC. Thank you, TC, for tweeting out the show. Greatly appreciated. All right, let's move on. Oh, good God. This thing that happened in the White House yesterday when the president of South Africa joined Donald Trump for a meeting. And so the term that they were clashing over is the word genocide, which it's not. Genocide has a meaning. It's not a genocide yet, but it's definitely ethnic cleansing and killing and destroying farmers. And not just white farmers. There's some black farmers they've been killing too, but they're taking farmland and killing people. And at least 1,400 have been just murdered. I mean, you can't say anything but that. So anyway, so they have the way Grok describes it, Trump and Ramaphosa clash over, quote, white genocide, end quote, claims. During a meeting in the Oval Office, President Donald Trump presented South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa with videos that he claimed depicted evidence of white genocide in South Africa. Trump highlighted incidents of violence against white farmers, though these claims are contested by various reports indicating that crime in South Africa affects all demographics without specific racial targeting, except they are taking land back without compensation. And there are people there who are singing songs about killing the white farmers. So there's a lot of action going on in this topic that some media just doesn't want to report. So anyway, the Vigilant Fox, Trump just played his ace card. The media spent years covering up the targeted killings of white farmers in South Africa because it didn't fit their narrative. He confronted the issue head on beside President Ramaphosa under the bright lights of the TV. So this is a whole thread of everything that went on. And they tend to like cut it up into pieces so you have to read more of their tweets. I'm not going to do that. Here it is. Now, notice how South African President's cabinet hung their heads in total shame as Trump played videos of their party calling for the genocide of whites in the White House. They refused to even watch. What a perfect metaphor. Trump's a genius. So what they did is they played these videos of them, this one party in South Africa calling for the killing of the Boers, if they call them Afrikaners or whatever, the white farmers, and they have had a memorial along a road with 1,400 crosses representing all the white farmers who had been murdered, or the farmers who had been murdered, which is vast majority of them were white farmers in South Africa. And the problem with this, there's a couple of problems with the whole thing, especially if you look at the history of Zimbabwe when they started taking the land away from the white farmers, and then there was no one farming, and then all of a sudden there's this famine in Zimbabwe. And Ramaphosa said, no, we do not want to go the way of Zimbabwe. But unfortunately, one of the parties there seems to think that that's the best way that's the best course of action. So let's we'll look at a couple of these things. The South African president brought white golfers with him to try to prove there's no systemic persecution of whites in South Africa. Golfer Rita Goosen then tells Trump that his dad's farmer friends have been killed and farms are constantly being burned. So this is probably not what Ramaphosa brought these guys here for. Let's watch this clip.
I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane, and there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer, and some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away.
That's
so
not what
it is a concern.
Now, I can just put a thought bubble over Ramaphosa right now. That's not what I brought you here to talk about. I can just hear it in his head. It's like he's looking at him going, what the fuck are you doing?
Try and make a living as a farmer, and at the end
notice, like you said, these people are just hanging their head going, oh shit, this is not what we came here for.
Farmers, there's no food on the plate, so we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing. Right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those two things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And both of them has been attacked in their
I
houses.
wonder if
I
wonder how the farm is going to be after this. If they're going to get attacked for this.
She was 80, so it is difficult.
So that's one of the clips. you know, when he brought out when he was breaking, President Trump stuns the world by forcing South African president to watch a video of South Africans chanting "kill white people." Holy shit. He did it in front of the press for millions of people around the world to see. And what's funny about, as I was watching this, you know, yeah, it's a problem. They've, you know, obviously apartheid was an awful thing in South Africa. It's terrible. And we all acknowledge that, but does it make it better to be able to just say, okay, now we're going to kill all the white people and destroy the farms and not all the white people, the farmers. They want their land back. And so they're taking it by force with no compensation. That's one of the policies that the president of South Africa is promoting. So this is the clip that they showed in the White House. This is the clip that they showed, and we'll watch this. Okay, and then we're going to show you a reaction from American media, because this is what's amazing of the reaction of the American media. So this is the clip. It's a little long, but we're going to watch it.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yes. South African occupy land. That's who we are.
Honorable member,
you want to do. You can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing.
Oh yeah, it's
because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. To kill. Nyamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor.
Kill the boer, kill the farmer.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill.
So you get the point. It goes on and on and on. There's examples of where they shoot. Let's see if we can see. Oh, here's.
Yeah, but I mean, killing of white people in the future.
Let's skip over some of this.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
You have it.
But, I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies.
Yeah. Let's see. So this is.
If they object, they can seek.
And then there's a section here. It's coming up. Each cross represents a white farmer who was murdered in South Africa, and some people still deny that South African Boers were persecuted, say they do not deserve asylum because they're white. So remember, they get mad because 49 South African, white South Africans were brought here as refugees from the violence and targeting of the white farmers in South Africa, which, you know, people are arguing, oh, well, they're not, how can they be refugees? How can you bring these refugees in, but to deny the people who ask for asylum after they cross the border illegally? Well, is there a difference there? Is there a difference? I don't know. Trump kept talking like those are their actual graves, to which was kind of, yeah, he mistakenly said these are actual graves. No, they represented the deaths of various farmers. So, and there's more video of that. So now, how does the American media characterize what happened in the White House yesterday. What is their biggest concern? Is their biggest concern is that there is evidence that there are people who are killing people because of the color of the skin or because of the land they have or whatever, that the fact they're farmers or whatever. Was that the biggest problem? What happened yesterday? Did they actually report the news of what was happening? Well, no, they all came up with a very similar catchphrase, and this is it. Listen up.
To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation.
What's the word of the day?
Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown. President Trump ambushing the president
Ambush?
of South Africa.
What?
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush.
Ambush. Oh, it was an ambush.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today. Today, Donald Trump.
What's the word of the day? Wait a minute. What's the word of the day? No, it's ambush. Yay! Yay! Wait, let's try. What is that? Hold up. What? What was the word?
Office ambush.
Ambush!
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval
Office.
Ambush! Ambush in there.
Ambush!
The President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush.
Ambush!
Yay! Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
Ambush!
To some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
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 Ambush. An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Gee. What did he ambush them with? What was the story that he ambushed him with? Yeah, whenever you hear today's secret word, scream real loud. Ah! Breaking: President Trump's bringing TV in the Oval Office in front of the South African president and shows him a video of his own government calling for the genocide of white farmers. Savage. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. And this didn't come after something Ramaphosa said. This came after something that one of the reporters asked, and they're like, oh, funny you should mention that. And guess what I have? I have a video. And it's kind of funny because also then one of the reporters, after playing this video, one of the reporters decides to ask a question about something completely unrelated to what they just saw. And so if you go through this thread, the one that's this Trump Ramaphosa clash, it gives you the entire section of it. But here we go. Breaking: Trump confronts South African president on rallies calling for the murder of white farmers. We saw that. Also trending the word ambush because, of course, that was the word of the day, the secret word of the day. Oh, okay, then that's it. That's all I have on that one. So I got a few other articles open. I'm not going to get to them, obviously, because the show's over. So just let's plan on doing a little free-for-all Friday tomorrow, as we often do. But yeah, there's a lot of good articles that I just haven't gotten to. And these links today will have all of this stuff in here, including some articles regarding the White House meeting yesterday and lots of other good stuff. So just a reminder, program note, I will be gone starting Monday for 2 weeks, roughly, a little over 2 weeks. And we'll be back on Friday the 13th. So tomorrow will be the last show for a while. I hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Free for All Friday. Here are the links from today's shows in the chat. I'll drop them also in the description. Here are the links if you want to hit them right now. Boom, there you go. And I will drop those in the description of this video /stream. Again, have a wonderful day. Gotta go. My name's PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thanks for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.